Hi, and welcome to That Was an Extremely Long Pause
in
5D.
Our openings aren't getting any better, but that's okay.
Yeah, we're down a man today.
We are down, well, we're down a person. I don't know if I'd call him a man. Don't tell him I said that. No, I'm not afraid of him. He can fight me.
Well, he's almost as tall as you.
No, he's taller than me. I'm
almost as short as you, I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say, I am the shortest one in the group. But I would like to think that I too, I'm also the feistiest one of the group.
Probably. It's that Latin blood, man.
it just gets me so warm. Wow, here we are, another episode of 5D. We are down the not so great or great, whatever you want to. The cranky bonsai. He is doing some stuff with other people, but that we mean the in-laws, not like other podcasters
or other actual people.
He doesn't know real people.
That's what I was saying.
But yeah, so anyways,
other actual people.
We went through and we talked about Comic-Con last week, so we're not going to retread some of that stuff. But there has been, oh wow, it's just like there was this weird Inception moment going on where I was showing the YouTube while watching the YouTube to make sure that the stream was going, and this was all kinds of crazy. Woo! But no, I did want to talk about a couple of things, so I'm actually very surprised. We seem to be just the cranky bunch out of it, because there are generally people that are excited about the live-action Teen Titans and the WB only stream channel. Or not WB, sorry, the DC only stream channel.
First of all, can you call them people? And second of all, I've never met them, so they must be a myth.
No, you know what? What's funny is these are much more successful podcasters that are doing this. I don't want to straight up call out their show, but because they're way more famous than we are. But yeah, you got people who are like super fans. Like I've gone and seen their show at Comic-Con live a few times, right? And they're excited about this, and I keep wondering, like, what am I missing? Or is this one of those things that because they're also at least 10 to 15 years older than me? I'm wondering if it's just it's a generational thing. You know, they saw Batman 66 back then, and they always wanted to see this stuff on the live screen, and they've been uber nerds, and they just want to see Teen Titans live. I guess I could understand that. I just don't know if I agree. I just don't want them to make a really shitty show. And paywalls suck.
But that might be the difference, you know what I mean? Like I liked the Teen Titans animated series when I watched it when I was growing up. But like I was nowhere near a super fan of it, and to make a kind of less than, I guess, appealing show to me is just like, man, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
I would never watch that. I would never pay for that. But I'm also cranky, so I mean.
Well, that's true. And I just feel like
I'm also poor and don't ever have a lot of money, so like paywalls.
Maybe there should be some sort of partnerships or something, right? Like, I don't know. Like maybe it should be a $2 add-on to like Netflix or something.
I guess that'd be okay.
It'd be better.
That'd be better, but like I still wouldn't pay for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have trouble paying the extra $2 for Hulu to see that I don't have like ads and shit in it.
Oh, the commercials. Oh no, dude. I used to have the free Hulu at first, and then I was like, okay, I'll throw them a couple bucks and see how this is, especially because of the less commercials kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, no commercials. I was like, oh, yes, here, take my money. Because if you remember, when you had the commercials, it wasn't even that there were commercials. Sometimes it was the same commercial 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
So it was like, pay them $3-4 a month, or give myself a fucking lobotomy with a screwdriver. Oh, gee, I wonder which one I'm gonna go with.
Well, at the same time, though, like my girlfriend picked up Hulu just because she wanted to watch some shows and stuff, right? Which is fine. It's just I haven't really found anything that's super appealing to me on Hulu besides like all of the South Park episodes and like Gravity Falls and like stuff that I've already seen and can find for free. You know,
that's okay. That's fair, but I will say that if you keep up with any current shows, it tends to be a much better place.
Yeah, I could see that, and there are some like movie like we just watched The Hot Chick last night. Like I revisited that one. And first of all, it does not hold up well. It was still funny.
Wait, the hot chick you with Rob Schneider?
Rob Schneider. Guess
oh my god.
Rob Schneider's a girl this time.
You didn't like that?
No, I liked it.
I haven't seen it in years, so I don't know if it holds up. But I love the fuck out of it when it came out.
We watched it again last night, or we visited it last night, and it just there's a lot of homophobia and like shit that was just back in the 90s, early 2000s. It was just kind of like, wow, this is aging like a fine Swiss cheese, I guess. Setting out in the sun, kind of molding. It was still funny. There were still other skits that were throwbacks, like Adam Sandler making his appearance and doing basically the same skit that Rob Schneider did back in the 90s, which is, you could put your weed in it.
Yeah. It was. I felt like that was a you owe me a favor, bitch. Come cameo in my movie.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what that was. And the one thing that I really found surprising was that it said directed and produced by Rob Schneider and Tom Brady.
Wait, was it actually Tom Brady, football star Tom Brady?
I haven't fact checked it yet, so
I might as well look this up because I'm pretty sure
it said Tom Brady on it. But not.
There's got to be more than one Tom Brady. I'm just gonna put that out there.
But is it though, or is it that he just spent like a couple dollars in producing that, and therefore they threw his name on there?
I mean, maybe. Maybe he threw some money to produce it. Maybe Rob Schneider and Tom Brady are friends. You never know, right? Like the circles that they run in.
Let's see. It's Thomas Adam Brady, an American writer. So
there you go.
It is a different Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It threw me off. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Have you ever actually sat through the credits at the end of a movie and just looked and you go, who the fuck is M. Schlong, Knightley? It's like, damn.
Oh, yeah, all the time. I like watching the credits and seeing all the weird names.
Half the time I feel like they just throw weird shit in there just to fuck with us.
Maybe.
That's a very good possibility. Paying attention.
I would do that.
Oh, yeah.
That'd
be something I would totally do.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Yeah. M. Night Shyamalan Alaikum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. So actually, let's talk about something the reverse of that. So recently, I watched Godzilla the animated show on Netflix. Mm-hmm. So, now we're talking about something that was quote unquote live action and has gone back. Although puppet live action is not the same. So I haven't seen part 2. Part 2 just came out. I saw part 1 because part 2 popped up on my Netflix watch list while I was playing a video game, which I will talk about. I'm very excited about this video game too. So I went back and I watched it. And part 1, spoilers. There's going to be spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, I'd roll ahead a couple minutes. So it is the turn, and I don't know if it's a sequel or prequel. It might be... I don't know. It was weird. The timeline is Godzilla has attacked. Humanity has been attacked by Godzilla and all these other monsters. So they are having a shit time of it. It seems like we're headed to extinction. Before humanity gets extinct, this race of aliens show up and say, we're aliens from such and such galaxy or solar system. Mm-hmm. Our planet got swallowed up by a black hole. If you grant us refuge here on this planet, we will help you defeat your biggest foe, Godzilla. Gojira. And so what ended up happening is, well, first off, it doesn't work out. You see as part of the intro, you see Godzilla just kind of wrecking. Even with the technology, it was too late. You do see Mechagodzilla get built, but they never activate it. Godzilla attacks the facility before they can activate it, and you kind of don't know what happened with that.
So wait, wait, there are these aliens that come from another solar system. There's like, we have an idea. We're gonna build them better, stronger, faster, and more
Yeah,
mean.
it was kind of like that, and they and they tried all kinds of other things, and basically it ended up being that like, no, they cannot fucking take Godzilla on. So they fucking load up as many humans as possible on this big colony ship, and they fucking take off and become space nomads, basically.
It's kind of
So
cool.
it's been 22 local years. By local, I mean local to, well, I guess it'd be 22 human years for the humans that they've been wandering. But because they've been traveling at near the speed of light or faster than, it's actually been 22,000 years on Earth.
Oh, okay.
23,000, which, you know, goes along with the whole
Space travel.
theory of relativity. Yeah, which was pretty interesting. And then what ends up happening is they've been drifting and they can't find a planet, and it opens up with one person who was a little kid as they were escaping Earth, and his family got killed by Godzilla, and he has a big hatred for them, basically blaming the government and covering up the fact that, you know, Godzilla does in fact have a weakness, and that he's got a plan to come back, but he's seen as a pariah and he's a prisoner because he threatened to blow up a space shuttle inside of the big thing. So they get to this planet that isn't really hospitable, but they're running out of fuel, they're running out of provisions for people. So they mount a bunch of colonists, and for people listening, I'm doing the quoting marks for colonists. And the colonists are just the old people. They loaded up all the old people and, you know, called them volunteers. And one of the old folk was this guy's main character's grandfather, the one with the plan. And before they leave, he's in this shuttle and he's like, I am not gonna let you go. This is ridiculous. They're just trying to get these people off. They're gonna, you know, they're just here to leave them to their deaths because they don't want to put out that we're dying little by little. So, you know, it's funny. He gets talked down from the edge by his grandfather, who says, "Hey, you know, we don't want to die in space. We want to die with our feet firmly planted on the ground." Anyways, so before that shuttle can land, it blows up on entry, and, you know, he gets thrown into jail. And there seems to be this weird connection with one of the aliens where it's almost like a religious sect where they worship Godzilla. They worship Godzilla in the sense where they see him as more of a force of nature that comes and beats down species once they get too tough. And just so remember, this is a Netflix original movie. So this, I believe this is all like original stuff, and it's an anime. So what ends up happening is they go back to the planet, and it's been 22,000 years, and the planet is completely changed. And I believe the you know, just to give you an idea, the name of the movie is Godzilla and the Planet of Monsters, or Monster Planet or something.
Huh.
And so they realize that, like, even the vegetation now seems to be like metallic, like razor sharp. Things have evolved to be much tougher, and there's these like dinosaur looking creatures that attack, you know, smaller dinosaur looking creatures that attack. And anyway, so they end up fighting them, they end up attacking, and where number one ends is they fucking explode Godzilla.
Huh?
But they realize, wait, there's no way this is the same Godzilla. This Godzilla is the exact copy of the one we face. It's been 20,000 years. Everything else has evolved. They're like, this isn't Godzilla. This is like a copy or an offspring. And they're starting to wonder, like, wait, while we were on Earth, was it always the same Godzilla that was always hunting us, or were there a few of them? And as they're wondering this and rejoicing of their battle, the whole mountain explodes. And fucking, like, the original Godzilla, which is what they lead you to believe, shows up, and he's like 3 or 4 times the fucking size of this thing.
Huh.
And yeah, and so the whole, you know, Godzilla being a force of nature has been around for a while. Like that was the thing. But what it was interesting is this time it was almost like a religious thing where it's not just a force of nature, but like a force of the universe. Whenever a species gets too up in arms and too when they start to think that they are gods, these creatures show up. And for us, for humans, Godzilla is that. And the aliens talk about they've seen other worlds where this has happened and other monsters like it. Anyways, it ends with giant Godzilla, and now this fighting force, because the rest of the colonies are still in space. The rest of the colonists are still in space, but the landing force and all that, they're stuck here now because their landing ships have been destroyed, and now they have this even bigger fucking Godzilla. And credits.
That seems really cool. It also sounds like it took a lot of inspiration from Attack on Titan.
I've seen the first season of Attack on Titan. I would say some. Except, yeah, okay, I would say some. Except that this is less of we're building and we're protecting, and the Titans like the Titans seem like they're a lot more easily defeated.
Well, there's a lot more of them, and it's hinted they're the evolution for humans, is what it is.
Yeah. I cheated and I looked up what they actually are, and you're wrong.
That's fine. I still want to watch the second season. I just haven't done that yet.
Well, I can't find it on Netflix, or maybe it's on Hulu now. But
it might be on Hulu, but it's probably on Crunchyroll. I watched the original on Crunchyroll.
Yeah,
like Japanese, English subtitled, and I really liked it. But I'm just saying, like the whole like leaving the elderly to die on a planet and stuff like that was like they just mounted them all up and sent them on a suicide attack.
Yeah, I remember
Attack on Titan.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely has elements. It seems like that obviously they all influence each other nowadays.
Right? Yeah, it's anime.
But yeah, and I will say what was interesting about at least episode 1 of this Godzilla anime was there wasn't any of the classic monsters actually shown in the rest of it. In the prologue, when they were explaining and they talk about how all these monsters started coming out of the earth, they did show they showed Mothra, and then the three-headed dragon. I remember we talked about it, and I found it interesting because the last episode we talked about the King of Monsters movie that's coming out.
Yeah,
and it made me curious about this anime. So anyways, I enjoyed it. I recommend it. I think it's worth a look, and I will be watching episode 2 and also bringing that to you folk and reviewing it.
I'll totally watch that. Like I was already interested in it. I just haven't because mostly I got distracted by a couple different shows, because we'll just jump into more Netflix stuff. Dark Tourist has been the one that's taken the most of my attention. Now, what dark tourism is basically, if you're a dark tourist, you go out to different spots that have a higher chance of like death or associated with death and stuff like that, and tour them like you would normal tourists. But it could be
this documentary? Is this live action? What is this?
It's a documentary. It's
okay.
I was going to get to that.
Sorry.
It's by a journalist that's from New Zealand that takes up dark tourism because he's curious about it. And his show revolves around like each episode is a different place. So like at first he goes to not Japan. Japan was the second one. He goes to Latin America first and explores like the Day of the Dead and like Santa Madra or whatever, like the deity of death and stuff like that. As well as like he goes down to what was his name? Pablo Escobar, where Pablo Escobar was ruling at one point, and actually meets with his hitman, his like right-hand man, who has gotten out of prison and has since been doing his own YouTube series of like crime drama stuff.
That's like, weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. But it's also very intriguing, because he served like 22 years in prison and then got out, and now he's, completely reformed. And I'm using air quotations for people who are listening. And like he seems like he's just like a good guy now, but at the same time, is he really truly like reformed from doing all the shit that he used to do?
I mean, that's the question, right? Can you really reform when you've gone that dark?
I mean, he's killed his own girlfriend because of Pablo Escobar and stuff. And they touch about that. They talk about it. Like he literally talks to the dude about that, and he's just like, yeah, you kind of just don't have choices sometimes, But it's a really interesting series. I'm about 6 episodes in now. And I highly recommend it to people that like that kind of stuff, that like learning about this kind of darker side of cultures and stuff, or different countries and what might be a dark tourism. I've always thought about like visiting places like that, but for me, it's been more like going to Norway and visiting like where Lars burned down churches, you know, and stuff like that.
So what's the allure of something like that?
Well,
Like
that's
for the layman's person, why would they be interested in dark tourism?
so that's the thing about dark tourism is that usually people that go to it, especially like the host in the show, I forget his name, um, he starts to learn that he like from doing this dark tourism, he starts to gain a real appreciation for life. You know, because he goes all over the place. He goes to Kazakhstan and goes to
Kazakhstan,
whatever it is. I keep thinking of Borat when I think of it. And he goes to where like all the Russians dropped about 456 nuclear bombs.
That's a lot of bombs.
It's highly radioactive. Like at one point they had to put on like breathing masks and stuff because if you breathe the air there, it can literally give you cancer because of the dust particles.
Okay.
You know, and he goes to ground zero and stuff like that. And it can kind of be, I think it would be a really neat and interesting experience because you are flirting with death or at least some like disease or like maimage.
But are you really like?
It's not like a war zone, though I'm sure he'll go to one eventually. But still, radioactivity is one of those sneaky.
Sure, but
things, you know?
But like if you live there, sure, but just kind of in and out. So the only reason I'm asking is because I kind of understand the morbid curiosity of like say swimming with sharks. I'd never do it. I understand that there is a physiological thing that happens that your adrenaline starts pumping. It's a rush. And these things, whether I like them or not, they're these amazing creatures of nature.
Yeah.
Now, the idea of going things like this, what I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're talking about like going to the site of the Battle of Gettysburg and going into maybe the what is it, the forest of this suicide forest in Japan.
Yeah, and he does that as well.
Yeah, things like that, right? Like that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, stuff like that. And like I said, what I was going to answer is I think the appeal for like that site specifically is because of how different it is from what you think of it. When you think of that kind of bomb site where they drop so many nuclear bombs, what do you think of?
Well, they weren't nuclear bombs. They
were plutonium. They were nukes.
420 nukes?
Yes, this is where the USSR
tested their nukes.
Oh,
okay. So, see, for that place, there isn't the morbid thing or the allure of a lot of people, a lot of human living beings, a lot of potentially spiritual energy was released here. So it's not that. So, is it just?
Well, no, answer the question. What do you think of when you think of a place that has been bombed by nuclear bombs?
I honestly think the folly of man.
Right, but like the actual landscape, you think like apocalyptic, destroyed, maybe desolate, right? You know, it's green.
Well, and so maybe it's because I've seen the Chernobyl site or pictures of that I know that that's just not the case.
Chernobyl was a different incident, though. Chernobyl was a nuclear meltdown that happened. But
we're still dealing with radiation, right?
That was just like Fukushima. Like, Fukushima is still around, and the Japanese government is also telling people that it's safe to go back. But they, like most of the places there, are rating between 0.7 and 0.6, which the safe level of radiation is 0.2.
Okay.
So it's safe, quote unquote, to come back.
But that's
because 0.2
is just background radiation that everybody gets.
Right. That is true. And there are difficult to return zones, is what they designate them as.
Yeah.
And it's also because Japan obviously has an overpopulation problem a lot of times. A lot of their cities are really overcrowded, so they have very limited space. So that's why they're trying to get people to go back there right now.
Yeah.
And nobody's going back there for obvious reasons.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would.
I wouldn't either. But like I said, this wasteland where they dropped all these bombs and stuff, it's green, and like most of the water is fine, at least on the top level. It's when you start getting down underneath it, because they actually detonated bombs underground as well. They've made huge craters that are now lakes that you start to get the more radiation stuff in it.
With three-headed fish and shit?
There's no three-headed fish, and the locals are eating the fish.
Interesting. Okay, so...
And the highest over there at ground zero is 14.
So there's people living there.
Yep.
Eating the wildlife. There's wildlife. And what is stopping people from dying of radiation poisoning?
There hasn't been a lot of death of radiation. There have been defects, though. There are, like, over the last... Because this happened in, like 40s, 50s, 60s, right?
Shit,
you know?
Right?
So he's visiting about 30, 40 years later.
Still, man, like, isn't the half-life of fucking plutonium... like 500 years or some shit? Actually, I just threw that number out there. I have no idea.
It's like 200.
Okay.
200 years is about when things will start to actually get back to the way things were.
That's fucking metal.
There are some birth defects. Like they even touch upon that. Like they show that kind of stuff as well. Like he goes to, I don't think he's the president, but he's some high up official for Kazakhstan, and his wife and his child died from radiation back then, and so he's very much like, no, this is not completely safe. You know, we should be dealing stuff with it. And he brings him to an orphanage of abandoned children, and like a lot of them look kind of normal, but like turns out that one's paralyzed, and it turns out that one's head's deformed, and it turns out that one, you know, is missing his front teeth. You know, there's still a lot of effects that bring that home, right? You know, that it's still a very radioactive area, and there's still a lot of issues that come with it, but it's a lot different than what people think. Like, it's not just like,
so there's no superpowers.
Not yet. Maybe eventually.
Okay. I just, that was the question that was burning in my mind.
That child's head that was so big, it might just be extra brain.
Well, or a tumor.
I mean, that too.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of tumors. See, radiation is no joke. It's kind of fascinating how radiation basically is, it just kind of destroys it on a molecular level. It's kind of fascinating. So I get the interest in radiation. I just don't understand in general the idea of why someone would want to visit these places. Like,
I don't know. It's something, the question that I would answer, like have thought about too. Like, there's a lot of places I wouldn't mind that have a darker past or considered a dark tourist spot.
Sure. So name one other than the burning of the churches, because we already talked about that. So name one.
Well, I mean, there's the Church Made of Bones. There's
Church Made of Bones. Why are you interested in that?
Honestly, I think the architect in it, or the architectural design in it, is really pretty. That's just it. Like, that's the reason why.
That's fair. Okay.
I think the Suicide Forest would be another one. Not because I want to see a dead body or anything, but because I want to feel the energy around that forest. It's very primal.
Yeah, I would like to do, because, so, you know, what's fascinating is, and you know, I'll close this out here so I can talk about the video game that I was talking about as well. But so what I do find fascinating is that there are certain places that you associate with death, or you associate with whatever. And there's this phenomenon, and a friend of mine actually got me onto this, because there's some frequencies that tend to make you feel a certain way, certain vibrations. So a lot of the times where these places that are supposed to be haunted, or places that make people sad or something, it's actually a natural phenomenon that influences you. So like, there have been some, like the castles where you know people see apparitions. It's actually like the wind is getting through the stone in a weird way that's causing this vibration that vibrates your ocular something about you. I think it's your ocular nerve, and it causes people to see things. Then there's the what is it? The bridge that the dogs always jump off of. I
Oh yeah, in
forget.
England, yeah.
Yeah, and it was another thing like that where there's something about the environment. So I do understand that and find that fascinating. And so yeah, okay, that's fair. I'm mostly curious because see, I grew up and I hung out with a lot of the goth kids, so I always
Same.
wonder like
Well, I
'cause
kind
some
of
of
was the
them
goth kid,
some of them were like dark for the sake of being dark, and I never bought it. I was like, you're just being edgy, good for you. But there were other kids who were actually obsessed and fascinating by morbid things. And I never understood because I was, as always, curious about the supernatural and curious about, like, what happens after death. But I was never curious or fascinated by death itself. You know what I mean?
but
Like
yeah.
that's why still not super into the gore thing, and it just doesn't entertain me. But I was curious about that.
Well, I'm not super into gore either. Like I don't mind it in a lot of like media and stuff like that. Um, but I don't know. I really like the kind of like, I guess, existentialism of it. Like the H.P.
So
Lovecraft kind of stuff, or like even like serial killers, like their psychological profile and like what makes them tick,
yeah,
not
and
the
I don't
actual
think there's
like.
anything supernatural about that, but yeah, that can be fascinating as well.
Well, I'm just saying that like for my like kind of instance of it, like it's just kind of like I'm not really drawn to the gore aspects of it. I'm more drawn to the like psychological aspects of it, or the like existential terror of stuff. I like a good body horror, right? Like anyone likes body horror, or I don't know if anybody likes horror, but I like body horror and like my like, horror movies and stuff. And I tend to stay away from like the slasher flicks and stuff like that. Like I'm more curious with
So
the dark psychology of things than just the blood and act.
yeah, I have no interest in the actual act. It's usually the motivations and what drives a human being to go. Because killing someone isn't just the thing that happens. Like it's not an easy thing. Humans can be fairly resilient. They can also be weirdly fragile, but generally speaking, they're fairly resilient. So what drives someone to go and just that becomes the driver for them. Everybody says, "Yo, there was just something wrong with them," and you're like, "Yeah, but what's that? Like, what makes you go from every day average Joe to just going at it, right?" Especially because so I've got PTSD, and I'm always one of those guys. Like, I am terrified of being that guy that you see on the street ranting, like a lot of the vets that have ended up on the street.
Mm-hmm.
That horrifies me. But there's also another side that horrifies me too. It's that, like, I know what I've been trained for, and I'm terrified of one day just doing it.
I can
And that's
I
why
can
it
kind of
fascinates
relate to
me.
that. Like not that I've been trained for it like you have, but I think that in every person, whether they realize it or not, or how strong it is, that we all have this kind of darker impulse, or even primal. It could be even primal, and some serial killers and stuff. That's what it turns out to be. Is it's more of a primal instinct for them for some
But
reason.
there's a driver, right, that goes beyond instinct because it's almost a compulsion. And I guess what fascinates
I
me,
wouldn't say a driver. I'd say more like, not a conductor, but a like an activator or whatever. What's it called?
no. So there is a catalyst,
Catalyst.
right?
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know what the catalyst is. I like that the chat is now chanting "kill, kill, kill." That's
That's what I hear every day. Don't worry, it's in my mind.
it's in your
Jimmy's
head.
in my brain.
No. And by the way, everybody who's listening, this is the dark show. Bonsai's not here to reel us in, so this is
Yeah,
the
we're
dark show.
edgelords right now.
One of these days, we're gonna talk about ghosts, goblins, and shit like that when Bonsai's not here because he hates that shit.
Be great, yeah.
But no. So like, yeah, I understand there's a catalyst, but from what I've read and from what I've seen, it goes beyond the initial catalyst because once it happens once, the likelihood that it's going to happen again is very high. So what is that ongoing driver? Once the catalyst happens, what is that ongoing thing? And that's it. I find it fascinating. And it's mostly because it's I'm not gonna full out and say that it's because I'm afraid of the darkness inside of humans or inside of myself. I think it's more like I feel like if I'm aware of it, I can check the signs and not end up that way because it is horrifying to think about.
Well, I mean,
Both sides.
that's what I agree. Like even with me, it's the same similar thing. Um, I don't know. I don't know what it is that is my driver. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I like all this because I'm trying to figure out what my driver is so that I don't pilot that car.
That's true.
That could be why. That could be my obsession. Maybe we figured out my obsession with darkness.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so let's bring this back. Let's bring this back. We'll lift up the mood a little bit. I recently started playing a game that I was very excited about when it came out, and I didn't get it because it sounded like it wasn't going to be worth the money because it sounded like it was going to be multiplayer only.
Okay.
But Agents of Mayhem.
Oh yeah, I saw you playing that. I was wondering about that one.
It is fantastic. I'm enjoying the crap out of it. So think here's the best way I can describe it. Think the silliness in the writing from Saints Row.
Mm-hmm.
Think mission-based runs, kind of like Battleborn, and crazy agents with different powers, kind of like Crackdown.
Okay.
So you open with a team of 3 agents. And there's some overarching story about some Dr. Nefario. Or not actually Dr. Nefario. I forget what his name is. But there's a big baddie using dark matter
to
blow a bunch of shit up.
Right? It's Voltar?
I don't think so.
I believe so, because when I first saw that game come out, I saw the term Voltar being thrown around, and I was
no.
Wait a minute, is this related to Red Faction?
No, the production company's Volition.
Volition? I could have sworn I saw Voltar in there.
Maybe I don't think so. But anyways, so it's a maybe I'm not to that point. Yeah. So it's a it's a third-person shooter, and I know TK is gonna hate me because he's not a fan of third-person shooters. But you start with 3 agents, and they all have kind of a specialization. One's the shotgunner, one's the he's got an assault rifle, and there's the tech person, and they all have their own specials, and they all have their own mayhem powers. What I like though is that it seems like they're bringing in characters from other ones. Like, I got it super cheap. I got the I guess quote-unquote Game of the Year edition that comes with some of the DLC. So I got to play as Gat from Saints Row series.
Oh, wow.
And there actually is a method to the madness. So you do missions to recruit agents, and these agents all have specializations. Like, so far, I've unlocked a floating spell witch person that's technically technology because she shoots nanites at people. I've unlocked she's a doctor, but she flings around like arrows and stuff. And then I also unlocked this tech genius who hacks stuff, and she's really great for breaking shields. And her attacks are actually kind of hard because she's got her weapons are these gloves, and she'll like shoot energy out of her gloves, just like pew 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 pew.
So like Iron Man with his like phasers,
kind of, sort of. But honestly, the best attacks for these is it's a charge up attack. You press and hold, you charge up, and it shoots rapid fire a bunch of times. And you get perks where you can charge them up, and it'll charge your shields back up when you hit with this, right? And so you level up all the characters, and you get bonus points. And then there's collectibles around the city where if you get 10 of these collectibles, you can upgrade an agent's core, and it gives you special abilities. And there's a lot of really mix and matchy things where you can really customize your agents. And just like it is a sandbox open world game, but the dialogue's actually really funny, and it looks like the agents actually have personality. Like, one guy's Hollywood, and he is the face of this agency. So he's super schmarmy, and like to the point where he was obnoxiously schmarmy.
Okay.
but funny. So he, his whole thing is if you leave the controls alone for too long, he stops and starts taking selfies. Just like ridiculous shit like that. And each agent has, I believe, so far from what I've seen, about two personal missions that they do. Just so when you first get an agent, if you've been leveling up all your other agents, this one's going to be much lower level. So what they'll do is they give you two missions where you play just as that agent, so you can get them up to at least level 5 or 6 to use the power, the powers, and be able to get the power ups, I should say. And these stories are great for Hollywood, and I'm only going to spoil that one because the other ones are pretty interesting.
The question I have for it is, does it have co-op?
So no.
Oh, that seems like a really big missed opportunity.
Well, see, originally the reason I didn't play it was because I thought it was nothing but co-op, because that's what they made it sound. But no, I was actually looking for co-op. There is a weird world co-op that you can do, but you don't actually play together. It's just these world challenges that you guys unlock together.
Oh, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, you're never in the same room. But to be fair, I'm not gonna lie. I prefer this versus the alternative. I prefer this versus it being like a MOBA style where it's only multiplayer.
I mean, I could understand that, but like, I just wish that a lot more games or a lot of good games would start to like bridge that gap. Like, you don't have to be a MOBA, you don't have to be single player. You could meet in the middle and have some co-op aspects of it, and still do the single player. Like,
but to be fair, everybody's doing the multiplayer and co-op stuff, so it's kind of nice to see.
I see the reverse of it, man. I see a lot of competitiveness. I see a lot of like games that do battle royales and stuff, but I don't see a lot of co-op games. I just don't. I either see single player games.
Give me a few games that were good recently that you wish were co-op.
Well, that's the thing is I tend to stick away from a lot of those.
Or that weren't co-op that should be co-op is what I'm asking.
Well, I just think like Stalker and stuff like that. Like there should be kind of more co-op in those ones. I ended up picking up a couple that were co-op, like Desolate and stuff like that. Like I specifically look for co-op games so I can play co-op. But yeah. I don't know, like the whole thing with what is it? Elder Scrolls, the new Elder Scrolls game. I know Bonsai hates them. He can hate them all he wants. It's fine. Sure. But they were announced that there was going to be co-op in it. And
no, I think you're talking about the new Fallout.
No, there was Fallout 76, and then they also said that the new Elder Scrolls is going to have
co-op. Is that also
going
to be co-op? Oh, interesting.
But
okay.
Because a lot of people were like, it's supposed to be a single-player game.
Well, yeah, because they already have Elder Scrolls Online.
But it's a different thing. That is a different beast altogether. I'm not talking about an MMO. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about just straight up, I want to play a campaign with my buddy.
Yeah.
I want to just the two of us, maybe 3, maybe 4, depending. Well, I mean, just the two of us would be fine.
They've got Vermintide, and they've got what is it?
But Vermintide
Hulk
is like Left 4 Dead, and it's specifically 4-man co-op. And if you play with bots, you're most likely going to die. They're not bad, but you have a higher chance of losing.
So you want more something like Diablo?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, people can jump in and out and are able to just kind of do that.
Yeah, like I just want to be able to play a game with my friend.
Did you ever play Hellgate London?
I didn't.
Oh man, I actually, you know what? I went on eBay and I got a copy recently. I've been playing the crap out of it too.
Really, I had a coupon for it at one point when it first came out.
Dude, it was like Doom and Diablo mashed together, and I've gone back and I've been playing it.
Yeah.
And honest to God, the graphics remind me a shit ton of Doom, which is probably not a good thing because this thing only came out like maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
But I really like the story. The story made sense. They had MMO elements built in, and you can do single player, or you can go into multiplayer and tackle this shit together.
See, and that's what I like. I like that kind of gameplay. I just wish that more games did it.
It's hard to do. It's really hard to do, right? Because look at Destiny and their balance issues, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to do, and
But to be fair, Bungie doesn't seem to listen to the fans either.
Nobody seems to fucking listen to the fans very often anymore.
I don't know. I don't think that's true.
I think Project Red is one of the few examples that them listening to the fans.
Siege has been listening to the community, and they've been cleaning it up. Like that's
Who does Siege?
A Ubisoft, actually.
Weird. Yeah, maybe they've shat on us enough, and they're finally listening.
Well, Siege is also a really big community, and the thing is, they want to keep it to be it's the competitor towards CS:GO. Pretty much, they're trying to be a competitor to CS:GO, so they kind of have to listen to the community. The drawback is like now there's like an auto ban for the like typing chat, the text chat, because they were getting a lot of complaints about people being super negative and stuff, and it's true. It was bad. It was bad.
Shit. Look.
But
here's the deal. No. Wait, you know how I feel about that.
My problem with it though is that if you're telling someone to bring frag grenades and you misspell something, boom, auto ban 30 minutes first time. And it progressively gets worse until a permanent ban. There's nobody monitoring that. It's just an automatic system, and it doesn't help for voice chat. So there's people that screech in your freaking ears,
Yeah, so see, that's...
Granted, you can mute them.
See, I am the type of gamer where I'm like, if it's not actually affecting my gaming, like, I want people to get banned for stupid shit within the game. For cheating within the game or spamming fucking.
They're doing that, but there's a lot in the community that just inward, like everywhere. Like just being super offensive, and they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, but I just don't fucking care, right? It doesn't affect me.
It doesn't really affect me either because I don't use the text chat, and I really don't care about the text chat, and I just mute other players that are being annoying.
Most of the time, if I'm playing those games, I'm playing with people that I want to play with, or if I'm not, I'm not going to fucking listen to folks. I don't give a fuck.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's one of those double-edged swords, but they did listen to their community about it, and they're trying to listen to their community.
Well, their community is fucking stupid because
it is.
They're over. I hate overly sensitive people. It's weird. But anyway, so no, I think that anyways, Agents of Mayhem. I think it's a solid game. I think you should definitely pick it up.
I probably will when it goes on sale. I have trouble playing single-player games at this point.
It was on sale.
I'm just saying, like again, when it comes on sale and I have money, it just I seem to be more multiplayer orientated, or I specifically pick games out that because Edge, which is no longer Edge, by the way, he's fallen Monolith.
Yeah, I saw I saw him in the Discord chat, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah, that's Edge.
I don't know how I feel about that.
And Satan and we always game together, so I tend to stick with games that I can go, hey, this is awesome. Let's all play it.
Fair enough.
We'll all play it. Speaking of that, though, I've been keeping tabs on No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I hear it's great now.
It's definitely an improvement. I want to spend a little more time with it before I recommend it to the others. But just to have the option to have a small band of friends play this game seems really fun. And they have added crafting and stuff like that, and everything. It just, I don't know if it's enough to keep our interest.
Well, I already own it, so it might be something where we do for how many players can you do?
I don't. It just has a small band, so I'm thinking 4 to 8.
Okay, because we've been looking for a new game to do for multiplayer night, so maybe it's something that we're gonna jump into.
I would be okay with that. I'm just saying I want to give it a little more time. Maybe you and I could play it as multiplayer and really kind of dive into it and explore it.
Yeah.
And just be that expedition crew and try to see if it's something that most of the group will be into or will hold our interest. Because right now it just seems like I'm a lot of I don't even have a gun. I just have the mining laser, and I'm going around building and learning how to craft and stuff like that, which is all fine because it's a pretty unique system itself. It's not intuitive like a lot of the other crafting games.
I've sunk hundreds of hours into that fucking game. So
I've sunk about 30.
I have a bunch of shit.
I've sunk about 30. I'm nowhere near that level because mostly I was waiting for multiplayer. But it does seem like it's going to be something that's really fun. My problem is I just found a downed spaceship. It's a huge frigate.
Oh, interesting.
But you can't go inside of it.
Oh, maybe some of these things you need a special key that you get at later levels.
I couldn't even find a door. It was broken up. It was like this giant piece here, then a couple little pieces, another giant piece here.
I want to say something. The chat is bringing up right now, and for those that are just listening in, they're bringing up the fact that we had a Space Engineers server, and we didn't use it very much. We have been through 4 or 5 different servers that we hit a little bit and then nobody uses. So we had a Reign of Kings server, we had an Ark server, we've had a Killing Floor server on multiple times, we've had a Terraria server, and a Space Engineers server. Out of all of those, I think Space Engineers was my least favorite. Everything was so really hard.
Complex.
Yup.
But I gotta say, from like my little time playing it, I really did like we were trying to find each other, and I had to literally jump onto a console, find where my coordinates were, and then read off the coordinates in latitude and longitude. And I was sitting there, and I was like, "This is kind of legit. Like, I feel like I'm like an actually space astronaut right now, trying to give my coordinates to my buddy to get to me."
And you know what? There is a time and place for that, and that time and place is when I'm out in the real world, when I'm in the faux game world. That's not what I want to do. I've done land nav in real life. I don't want to have to do it in a fucking video game. My issue is with the
complex building.
The crafting was so, like, you could sink 6 hours to build one fucking building, or sorry, not even one building, one spaceship, and then on your first run, kablooey, because you fucking built it like an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which could be an appeal to some people, you know, that strict engineering side of it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not like my role. Like, I am not an engineer that way. Like, I am a grunt fighter / miner. Like, you want me to go dig holes and find material? I can do that. Yeah, you want me to fight space aliens? I can do that. You want me to build a complex rocket to get into space? I'll try, but it's just going to be like a tank of fuel with a rocket and then like a seat for you to sit on.
Yeah, I have this weird relationship with, speaking of engineering with Kerbal Space Program, is every couple of months I go and I sink an entire day into it. And then I don't play with it for fucking ever, months.
Yeah, I have that one, and I can see why.
I love it. I love that fucking game.
It is oddly charming in that way. Like, yeah. Even if it goes wrong, you're like, ha 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 ha. Yeah.
Yeah, but, except for that one time when you're like, I did everything right, and for some reason the physics engine decided to this time it was gonna spin. No, fuck you. I'm out. And then, you know, a couple months later, I go back and I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna build myself a spaceship.
Yeah. No, I get it. I did like that one. It's like one of the ones that I come back to eventually, and I'm like, I'll play about this now because I'm bored. But you know, not my cup of tea.
All right, we're actually right about that time. We made it through all the ranting, all the talking. We got really dark, and we talked about some cool shit, man. We made it. Made it to the end. We don't need no fucking bonsai.
That'll be the title. We made it.
Bring us down. Oh, I thought the title was going to be "We don't need no fucking bonsai."
We could put that too. That could be in parentheses.
That's the tagline. All right, cool. Anything for the audience? Anything for the cause there, Klops?
I really recommend Dark Tourist. If you have a morbid curiosity, go watch the show on Netflix.
I'm not saying don't. It's chill. All right, check us out on.
Wait. I got one better. You could put your weed in it.
Nice. That's actually, now that it's legal, I'm gonna fuck you. Talk about weed all you want. You can check us out at 5dpodcast.com. We have links to our old episodes there. We're also on iTunes and Podbean. Tuesday nights we are playing games with each other.
I'll actually be there tomorrow.
He might actually be there tomorrow.
I will be.
He will be there tomorrow. And who knows? It's probably not tomorrow. He means the next Tuesday.
Whatever
we don't know
Tuesday
when this episode goes up. That'll be on twitch.tv/Metagame Network. We're all on there. I stream to the YouTube channel. Bonsai ends up streaming to the Metagame. And
I have
a couple
my
other
own
folks.
Klops channel that I mostly stream on, but I am trying to get more stuff onto the Metagame one.
Yep, and we are there. You can catch us. We actually had a couple people come in and play games with us, and it's kind of great.
It's a lot of fun. We like
it
playing
is
with
a
you
lot
guys.
of fun. I don't know what we're gonna play tomorrow. The last time we played some battle golf thing. It was
I
great.
got a copy of that from TK. Thanks,
Yeah,
TK.
it was actually a lot of fun,
I'd be down.
surprisingly.
Okay.
But all right, guys, and yeah, that's kind of a wrap.
See ya.
Bye.